Hi everyone, Anthony Cummins here. We're on part 8 of the Shoninki, which is True Path of the Ninja. And this is Natoryu Ninjutsu, or Shinobi no Jutsu, as it's correctly termed. And what we're going to do is we're going to work today from page 58. Now, this is, as I say, we're well into this series, so you should be up to date by now. So this is called Walking Along Unfamiliar Paths, mountain paths, and all that sort of stuff. Now, the opening to this chapter, I think, shows a lot about whether Isui Sensei was practicing shinobi or not. If you don't know, in the world of ninja research, there's a big debate of whether the people who wrote these scrolls actually practiced ninjutsu, because most of the practitioners of shinobi no jutsu actually were alive before these people. Then we got to a time of peace when the shinobi are basically doing nighttime duties, minor spying, maybe going to other provinces. There's just not a lot going on, really. I'm not saying there isn't stuff going on, but it's not like warring periods, you know, into castles, knifing people, jumping out of windows, all that sort of stuff. But this says, it's here, which is superb. It says, there is no way to describe the feeling of uncertainty that comes from walking along unfamiliar mountain paths. Neither is there anyone you can ask for the way, because you can't give yourself away. This could be, I'm not saying it is, but it could be taken as evidence to say Isui Sensei actually was out there doing it. Because he's like saying, he's not saying sort of, oh, imagine it must be quite difficult out there in the cold and the snow. He's like, he's saying the feeling you get from being out there in the mountain paths on your own, not allowed to give yourself away, is a hard one. And that to me strikes a ringing bell of like, was he actually doing it? So let's keep that in mind. Now here he says, when you got to imagine, we're in Japan, rugged mountains everywhere, the little tiny human, always think of Shinobi no Jutsu in landscape and in vast ways. If you ever want to understand Shinobi no Jutsu, watch Lord of the Rings, right? Lord of the Rings is Shinobi no Jutsu, off you go. 9 companions go to Mordor, through enemy territory, under cover of like moving where they can. They're being pursued, or they're not allowed to show themselves for who they are. They have to avoid people at all times, and the landscape is vast and massive, and they've got to go through the mountains, through snowstorms. Literally, Lord of the Rings is an understanding of Shinobi no Jutsu, or understanding the landscape in connection with Shinobi no Jutsu. So he's saying here, he says, when you come to somewhere and you've got no idea where to go, you're totally, you know you're going in the right direction, but there's little offcuts and all that. You've simply sometimes just got to give in to fate. And he says here, recite an old rhyme. Now, you can't use the same one over and over again. It's got to be something that just comes to mind. The first thing comes to your mind, rose are red, violets are blue. I've not seen this, nor have you. Do you know what I mean? But it's got to be a traditional poem or a limerick. There was a man from Leeds who swallowed a pack of seeds. Within an hour, it was a flower and his balls were a bundle of weeds. So, do you know what I mean? And then what you do is you count the syllables. And if the syllables are odd, you go left. And if the syllables are right, even, you go right. Now, this is probably to do with yin and yang numbers. Yin, number 1 is a yin number, and number 1 is a yang number, and yang is left. Number 2 is a yin number, and yin is right. Woman side, man side. Left is man, right is woman. So he's saying, recite it just quickly. Don't even count, just quickly. Whatever comes about is the way you've got to go. Now, the reason for this is that technically, this goes back into like the concept of time and the arrow of time and the Greek arrow of time. Obviously, these are not connected, but the idea is that the gods, the people beyond the world, the dead, can actually see the future and know what you're going to say. So they put it into your mind what to say. So what they do is, the idea is that it's all lined up, that I get to a branch in the road, a fork in the road, and I suddenly, the dead put this idea of the rhyme in my mind, and I say it out loud, and it will take me the right way, because they are not confined by the arrow of time. So this gets into, I actually have read Boethius, which is the Consolation of Philosophy, which absolutely talks about the dead being able to do this, or the god, if you like, being able to do this. So anyway, that's where it gets a little bit supernatural with Natoryu, and it doesn't often get supernatural. Right, okay. It says, when you're walking along the roads, you can find cast-off shoes. You're looking for habitation. So basically, you've got to imagine, it's easy for us to, that to us seems a bit daft. It's like, okay, so you can see bits of rubbish everywhere, like shoes and sandals. But it's in a world where it's not a modern world where you're seeing trains and everything going past. You're just seeing mountains. Everything's got foliage. Everything's got greenery. There's tons of it around. And you're literally looking for any footprints, any cast off sandals, any evidence of humans being in the area, and follow that evidence there. And this goes on, he goes on to say, to understand well-travelled paths, check the trees and the bushes. And the idea is this, we use the word mowed here or trimmed, because as you start to get near villages, people have started using the local area. So if you look at it from a bird's eye point of view, it's literally just greenery and mountains and rocks and brown dirt because it's quite hot in Japan. And but from a shinobi's point of view, you're walking along the road and you can see it's all just greenery everywhere and bits of this. You start realizing that somebody's cut the branch there. Okay, somebody's been collecting firewood there. Okay, that edge looks like it's been cut back to allow people to travel. So you can start to see as you're going through, the foliage, which is all over the place, suddenly becomes a bit more ordered, and you can clearly see human interaction with the foliage. So you're looking at the patterns of the greens, of the foliage, of the leaves, and you're trying to see, okay, that's been manipulated. Normal people just walk past it, but if you do it, you're like, okay, I'll keep following that type of manipulation and I'll end up at a village. So if you don't know where you're going, you can start to track the landscape by looking at nature around you and how humans have messed around with nature. Okay, so a smart person would never miss these things. Basically, if you're walking along a snowy path, and you don't know where you're going, basically keep your head down and look at the back of the person, just follow them. Because if you're looking around trying to work out, people will be like, he's not from here, he doesn't know. The other one is a horse. If a horse is walking ahead of you, it knows the way home, and you follow it. And this sounds a bit daft, but it's the best teaching ever. And I have used this in real life. So before I bought this house, and I was going to Japan a lot, and then staying with my dad and sort of like staying with my mum and all that, or friends, sometimes even stay with friends. And what I did was house sat, which means I looked after other people's houses for like 2 months while they went away, or a week when they went away, because it was somewhere I could work before I got on my next plane to Japan. And there was this one where I had to take a dog for a walk, and she had a really complicated route for how to take this dog for a walk, and I was like, I don't remember this. I was like, God, I don't remember this. And the dog's pulling at the lead and I'm going, and it's all over the place. And after about 3 days of doing this really convoluted walk of trying to find my way, and end up going different ways because I got it wrong, I had to get back to the main road and find my way back. I just let the dog walk. So I just let the dog walk. And whenever he wanted to turn, I just turned. And whenever he wanted to go, and it knew the exact route, every bit of the route to get home, because it did it time after time. So every day then it was the easiest one. I followed the dog, and I just made sure the dog didn't get killed. And the dog took me back home because it knew the route. An old horse in Japan knows its route. It knows how to get down a mountain because it can track down. It knows if it's domesticated fully and it's not just left, in the mountains or whatever. It totally knows where its fields are, where the village is, and it'll just go there. So follow it. So the other one is, it talks about an army and you follow horses. Now this bit quotes Chinese here. The retainer of Duke Huan of Qi, whatever it is, from Guanzhong. God, I bloody can't speak Chinese. We need a bit of Les Con here. Basically, he said that an old horse would know the path and go ahead of you. In Natori Ryu, you've got this in two styles. Basically, you can follow on a horse on snow because it tramples the snow down and it knows where it's going and you go after it. Or the entire army dismount and let the horses go ahead of them, and it tramples everything down, so samurai are not slipping, and you can start to trample it down because you walk behind your horse. And that's part of the other scrolls, the Book of Samurai stuff. It's got the tradition of tying knots and grasses. So the idea is you're going out there, you're tying a knot, goes left, you go left, go right, goes right. Sometimes you reverse these. So if you tie it to the left, it means go right. It's just to stop people following you because they don't know the actual stuff. You can leave landmarks, footsteps. It says if you come to an end, go straight back. And we know this. Once you're walking, if you sit down and you've had it, you start to think, oh, I'll just stay here for a bit. But it's just like, nope, turn around, go back straight away. So it says use a donohi. Excuse me, hold on. All right. Okay, use a donohi, and then it talks about, sorry, I had to just check that then. Basically, it talks about how to construct a donohi. So I'll close that there. So basically, a donohi is a do no hi. Hi is fire. Do no hi. The fire of the body. Body fire, body warmer, body embers. So you got this idea that it's cold, you've got your stuff on, you've got your cape on, you've probably got your sledge hat on, or what it's called, and off you go, and hiding your face and all that, amigata. And inside your sleeve you've got the copper donohi with embers inside of it, but you've also got another satchel or pack of new tubes for it. So when one's running out, you put the next one in, get it going, and you can turn it round. The next one runs down, you put that one in, blow it down, turn it round, and you just keep going like that. You can keep banging it in and out, no problem. So that's what you do. And that keeps you warm, and it teaches you there how to make them. Now, Andrew Throburn is forever making donohi, and he's forever using them. They're so good. Copper gets really hot. I forgot the name of a group of lads who did it for me years ago, and they were brilliant. They made one of the best videos I've ever seen on making a donohi. They had the science out and everything. They had electric thermometers, the lot, and I forgot where that video is. So if anybody's got that video or remembers it, or it's still there, please link it below. Okay guys, so I hope you enjoyed that. So this is the idea of, in Shinobi no Jutsu, you're outside in the mountains, you're in the wilderness, you really sort of like out there. It's cold, it's harsh, you know basically where you're going, but you don't have a map. You've got no intricate GPS signal, you've got none of the ordnance survey maps. It's not like that, and that's why you need, and it talked about before, is local guides. Local guides will take you everywhere, bribing them, but if the minute you give yourself away as not travelling down the main highway with everyone else, and that you're off doing different things, people are like, what are you doing around here? Same as the shinobi, he then talked about it, get up, pretend to be a scarecrow, pretend to be this, pretend, just to get in, because on what possible reason would you have to go to this remote village if you're actually travelling? Why would you be there? You wouldn't be there. So, and if you go in there, you'd know it. So you've got to really look like you're meant to be passing through, or you're meant to be in the area doing something. Otherwise, it's truly suspicious. All right, guys, there you go. Enjoy. Remember, get yourself a copy of True Path of the Ninja. Get the red one. It's the most up-to-date one. The blue one's the older one. So get the red one, and I'll see you later.